He's an energy analyst and the chief executive officer of Storelectric Limited in the UK. He joins me now from Manchester. Tallat, good to have you on the show. Liz Truss was actually alluding to this, talking about this during her campaign period, and right out of the gates, she announced this. I want to start off by initially getting your brief thoughts on this.
I guess the excess profits. I mean, it's one of those things that people have said several times over that we should really tax that and use that to help the economy. These energy companies have probably made $200 billion in the last year or so. So it depends very much upon which side of the market you stand on. If you're for market forces, then the Conservative view, at least Liz Truss's view, is that we don't really want to intervene in the market. We want the market to operate as it would normally operate. And by doing that, those profits would generate investment, and that investment would generate more money for the economy and hopefully help us. Of course, that's a slightly longer term view. It's not necessarily the case that money would filter back into the markets as the Tory government is actually saying at the moment. But on the other side of the fence is the Labour view, also Rishi Sunak's view, the former Chancellor, which is that we should tax those profits immediately right now. I guess we've got an immediate problem. We need immediate solutions. So what I think the government has done is the right thing. They've now introduced a price cap. They've introduced a very large package, as you said, $115 billion. And that should get us past the next year or so. And that gives us all, hopefully, time to really address the longer term issues which are more plaguing us.
It doesn't look like this energy crisis will be going anywhere anytime soon. At least that is my opinion. I mean, if we kind of sort of shift gears to the general energy crisis, not in the UK, but also on the continent and around the world, we know that the European Union has sort of come out with a proposal saying that they'd like to cap gas prices that they from Russia. Hours after that, when President Putin was speaking at the Eastern Economic Conference in Vladivostok, basically came out with the nuclear card, saying that, if that's going to happen, we're going to be cutting off all supplies. This includes gas, oil, coal, everything. This could really shake up the markets and further plunge or deepen the crisis.
Yeah, look, it can be a very difficult time ahead of us. I mean, particularly if we have an extended winter, a cold winter, a windless winter, but equally this tit for tat, this saber rattling doesn't really help anyone, any business, anywhere. So I think to some degree this will start to quieten down. But in the short term, are the things that we can do to help us get around the problem? Yes, I think there's a few things that are already being done. For example, the EU now has 71%, I think, gas reserves, and is continuing to build those up. In Germany, I think they're up to 95%. We can introduce things like gas rationing, particularly for those industries which consume large amounts of energy. Demand-side response, essentially. And at the same time, it's not the case that the public can't do anything itself to help get through the current problem. They can also, for example, insulate their homes. That reduces the energy costs. They can, a lot of these TVs and computers that we leave on standby, take them off. That actually helps if you take a country position. But at the same time, also, you see that the German government has now reintroduced coal plants, short-term solution, because obviously they're polluting. And at the same time, the UK government is reintroducing fracking, which is a bit of a question mark as to whether that will really help. But they've also now, I think, issuing 130 licenses for new gas and oil. And it's one of those conflicts that we have, that on the one side, we want to get to a point where we can get past the next year or so because of the energy problems. But at the same time, we still have the climate issue to address, which in some cases and from some points of view, can actually be worse than the energy crisis that we have now. So it's a difficult one to balance. But I think what's being done is the right thing. I do expect over the next year the situation to calm down vis-a-vis the politics. But at the same time, hopefully this will give the right signal to all of us that we need to get to energy independence as soon as we can.
Okay, Tallat Azad, live for us from Manchester. Thank you very much for joining us here on the NewsHour and for the analysis.